Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And we love to venture into the forest. Look for the little mushrooms under the trees. Maybe sing to the little birds. What bird noise will you make?
Like a cat bird. Cat bird. Yeah, tweet. Anyways, today we're going to take a look at this new game called Forest Shuffle.
Ooh.
Yeah. This one is designed by Kosch and is published by Lookout Games.
In this game, you'll take a role of a person who wants to build a beautiful forest.
Yeah.
Fill it with beautiful organisms of plants, creatures, mushrooms, in order to score the most points. Because we love to see that.
We do. But with that quick overview out of the way, let's take a look at how the game works.
Forest Shuffle is a strategy game where players will work to create a balanced ecosystem by playing trees, animals, plants, and mushrooms, aiming to score the most points by the end of the game. You'll set up by placing the clearing and reference cards in the center, preparing the draw deck, and giving each player a cave and 6 cards to start. You'll choose the first player and you're now ready to play. On your turn, you'll choose between 2 actions. Draw 2 cards or play a card and check the clearing. When drawing cards, you can draw from the clearing or face down cards from the deck as well. There's a hard limit of 10 cards per hand. The second action you can take instead is to play a card and check the clearing. Cards in your hand will be tree cards or split cards with tree inhabitants. Each card will have a cost, which is paid by discarding other cards from your hand. Trees are played to build up your forest and provide slots for species to inhabit. Each species is scored in a unique way. Split cards will show a variety of species which will live in your trees. The cost may be different per species, and each may have effects or bonuses that are activated when played. You'll execute the effects before activating the bonus. Now if you played a card, you'll end your turn by checking the clearing. If there are 10 or more cards, you'll discard them all. And that's a turn. You'll keep playing, taking turns, building up your forest, aiming to maximize your points until a third winter card is drawn. At this point, the game ends immediately. You'll tally your points by counting all the visible points on your trees and organisms, making sure to count points in your cave if you have any. The player with the most points wins. Will you have the most beautiful forest?
Nope. Because my forest will be thriving, unlike yours.
It can be beautiful and thriving.
Yeah, but mine will be more beautiful than yours.
Okay, sure. What are your first impressions of Forest Shuffle?
First impressions. Wow. I actually really enjoy this game. It's like this fast-paced card game that I was really surprised by. Because when you look at the box and just like the player count and the time that it takes, the fact that it's only cards and you're making these tight decisions about what you want to play seems like it would be a little slower, but it runs super smoothly from turn to turn, and it feels really good. And you can score a lot of points.
Yeah, we first got to play this game at Gen Con, and I was honestly amazed by it. When I started reading the rulebook and kind of seeing all the pieces come together, my eyes were just like, oh, I can't wait. And the more and more that we've played it, the more and more I think of, hey, this game definitely has contention to be like one of my favorite games.
Yeah, when Ilya said that, I could see where he's coming from. It's definitely a lot of fun. And for those of you who are trying to get a gauge on what this game is like, I actually compared it to Meadow, where you're like building out your ecosystem. You need certain things to be able to like bonus your points off of. Obviously slightly different than Meadow because it is just cards and tableau building around your trees, but it does give me that similar vibe. And Kosch, of course, designed Fife, and we really enjoyed that. So coming to this one felt natural and did not disappoint.
So now let's head on over to why should we check this game out? Yeah. Why, if you're interested, what would be some of those factors that would appeal you to come check out Forest Shuffle?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I think for me, it is the whole fact that each game feels extremely different. There's so many different cards, and how the cards play off each other, it feels like there's limitless strategies that you can really take.
There are a lot.
And it is a lot of adaptability, but each game that we've played has felt so significantly different. And even if you have like a strategy in mind right in the beginning, because of the cards that you have, you'll have to pivot and shift, and your forests look extremely different game to game.
Yep. And that goes to say, like, when you're playing with more people too, the game kind of transforms itself into something else, and you have to pivot even further because maybe somebody else is getting more lucky with their draws. So they're able to go down the strategy line that maybe you wanted to initially. So the ability to be able to pivot without losing points or necessarily suffering from pivoting is actually extremely nice in this game, and I think it adds to the value of why somebody might want to check this one out.
And you mentioned that the different amount of people, it like varies too. This is one of those games that I feel like any player count is good.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like most games, you know, oh hey, this is a better 2-player game, or like 2 to 3 player game, or like play this at a higher player counts. This game is great for all player counts, because in a 2-player game, I think you're playing a much more strategic, still really high paced game between the two, and maybe trying to play each other like off each other and get a higher score. Where in a 4 or 5 player game, the turns are still really quickly, but everyone just has such varying strategies. The points you'll score will be lower, but it's still very impactful and very fun to play at a high player count.
I think at a higher player count too, you're going to have less cards like total on your board, so that is part of the reason you don't score as much. But even to Ilya's point, when you are playing this game, your turns are very quick. You almost have like it goes around the table and you're ready to play again, so you're always actively engaged in what's going on, and I really appreciate that in a game. So it might be a reason that you might want to check this game out.
And I think the last reason we'll mention is the rule set is fairly light, so you learn a lot as you play, because a lot of the rule text is actually on the cards. Like, you don't need to know a card that somebody else may play eventually. Like, it's better to learn. It's a great game to learn as you go, which is another reason I really like it.
Yeah, generally speaking, you could kind of hop into this game right away and really pick up on like the icons. It's very like simple and straightforward. Yeah, but with that out of the way though, probably talk about reasons people might not want to check this out.
You want to start with this one?
I do, because I want to follow off of what you said about why you should check it out. And I think there's like a lot of text, a lot of icons, and just like a lot of things to absorb when you're first getting into this game that can kind of maybe seem a bit overwhelming. And then your brain, well, my brain as a good example, will go in like a bunch of different directions, and I won't know maybe what to focus on. It'll pull away from my experience, and I think that might echo with some of the folks out there.
Yeah, definitely the first few games we played were definitely information take in, because there's so many different abilities, ways that cards combo off each other, ways and strategies to build. And you're not going to learn all of it in the first game. Somebody's going to be doing something over there and you're like, why are they doing that? That's so strange. And then all of a sudden they have 100 points.
Yes.
So it's one of those games that you never quite know until that very end. But it is one other game that the more that you play, the more that you'll develop that strategy too.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And then like even leaning further into this, because the game is like fast paced, you do have these really quick turns. So when you couple it with trying to maybe like look at all your cards and decide what strategy you want to do, it can get a bit like again overwhelming, because all of a sudden you play a card, you think you've done your turn, and then the next person is like played their turn, it's all the way back to you, and you're like, oh heck,
I haven't even
think about this. Yeah. So it can put you in a little situation where you're kind of just like froze and don't know what to do. Yeah.
And maybe that was just like our pace of the game sometimes too.
Yeah.
But I felt that too, because I'm usually the person that plays immediately and I'm ready to go with my next card. And I felt rushed in this game where I'm just like, oh, I haven't even thought. And usually I'm very quick on my feet with this type of game.
Yes.
But we do finish these games quicker, so maybe...
Yeah, it does have a 60-minute player or timer on it. And I think like, especially even when we're just as two,
fast
it takes
players.
Like maybe 30
minutes, yeah. We're fast.
We know what we want and we go for it.
Forests, spiders, and birds.
Exactly. But the last thing that we should mention about this game that I think is important for people to know about is it does have limited player interaction. So the only way that you impact somebody else's decision is by playing the game. You don't have to intentionally say, oh, I'm gonna take this away from somebody. Well, maybe you can, but I don't think that I feel like it's out of your control with the vast amount of cards that are in this. But for the most part, you're just grabbing what you think you need, maybe trying to look around to see what other players are doing so you don't necessarily lean too far in the strategy. But I think if you're looking for a game where you have to intentionally interact with other players, whether that be in a positive or negative way, this one, not for you.
Probably not it. And lastly, this game is part of the green line of Lookout Games. And if you want to learn more about that and cool sustainability initiatives, check out the description down below.
Well, overall, what do you think of Forest Shuffle?
I'm hesitant to say this, but I am surprised how much I like this game. And I'm curious of the longevity, like the more that we played, if it still remains to be a top game. Because right now, in my head, I'm like, this is easily top 10 of 2023. Like, not even a question that's going to be on my list. But I don't know if longevity will prove that, so I want to play it more. Because we played it quite a few times, but I want to continue playing it because this is... I haven't been this surprised by a game in a long time.
I feel like you came from a different place from me when we started playing this because I saw the Kosch designer and I was like, oh, I'm excited for this. So I had these like brain crunchy idea in my head from like Fife, and it maintained it, maybe even exceeded it. I think I personally do prefer this one over Fife, but that being said, it is a really fun game. I like the theme, I like the speed of the game, and I like that it works well at all player counts. So I'm interested to introduce it to some of our friends, see what they really think about it when we're at the table, and yeah, get their opinions on it before I jump to say that it could be a top 10 of 2023.
Top 10. I think it will be. I think it will be. Mark my words. Maybe we'll find the video and someone will comment a few months from now. The last thing I'll mention is if you enjoy card games, if you enjoy a variety of interactions between the cards and strategy building, this is definitely a game you'll want to check out. It's a smaller box, it's only cards. It takes up and builds a beautiful forest on your table. What's not to love?
Yes, exactly. Well, that's it for us and our review of Forest Shuffle. If you liked what you saw here, please give us that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and I believe we have a question of the day.
We sure do. Our question of the day is, what is the most peculiar thing you found in a forest?
What? That's pretty cool.
Do you have one?
I don't think I have anything like super peculiar.
Like a bear hasn't surprised you?
Oh, I've run into a bear and that was terrifying, but we just like ended up having to do a like extra 4-kilometer hike instead of the small loop that we were intending on doing. Yeah, I guess that would be peculiar.
the one that popped in my head was, I think I was really little. I was like 4 or 5. We were walking and there was this it felt like honestly like a movie moment because there was this stump and on this stump coiled a snake. And it was just sitting there.
That would be cool to see.
And my dad saw it, and we were just like, nope, and we all ran the other direction.
I feel like I've only ever seen that on movies or in zoos.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
It was pretty neat.
Well, let us know your peculiar find in the forest down below, and
let's shuffle away.
Woo woo woo. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
You didn't shuffle.
Oh, I did this.
Oh, okay.
I did like a little shimmy. Bye!